The moment she looked me in the eyes and said, "This divorce is your fault," something inside me finally snapped. Not because I believed her. Not because her words hurt. But because after years of lies, abuse and misery, she actually thought she could blame me for the destruction she caused herself. That I grew up in what looked like a normal military family from the outside. People probably thought we had everything together. My father served in the military and spent months away on deployments. My mother stayed home with me and my younger brothers. To everyone else, she looked like a struggling wife doing her best. The reality was very different. Whenever my father was gone, the house changed, the atmosphere changed, and my mother changed. The drinking started early and usually ended late. Some nights she would stumble through the front door barely able to stand. Other nights she would bring strangers around, and when she was angry, which was often, my brothers and I became her target. The physical abuse wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't one bad day. It was years of fear, years of walking on eggshells, years of trying to predict what mood she would be in before she walked through a door. I remember hearing her footsteps and immediately feeling my stomach tightened. I remember trying to protect my younger brothers whenever I could. And I remember counting the days until my father came home. Because when he was around, things were different. Not perfect, but safer. The problem was that he spent most of his time serving overseas. He had no idea what was really happening inside our home. My mother knew exactly how to hide it. She was a professional liar. The kind of person who could smile at neighbors in the morning and terrorize her children by night. For years she got away with it. Then everything finally started falling apart. My father discovered she had been cheating on him. Not once. Not twice, multiple times. And once he started digging deeper, he learned about the abuse. The lies, the drinking. Everything. I still remember the day he confronted her. The screaming echoed through the house. For the first time in my life, I wasn't scared. I was relieved. Because the truth was finally out. Not long after that, he kicked her out. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. A few days later, my father was away handling paperwork and legal issues. I was home alone. That's when she showed up. No warning, no phone call. Nothing. She walked into the house like she still owned the place. First, I couldn't believe it. Then I watched her start gathering random items. A coffee maker. A television, kitchen appliances. Anything she could carry. It wasn't even valuable stuff. It was just petty. Like she wanted to take pieces of the house out of spite. I stood there watching her move around the kitchen. Part of me wanted to tell her to leave. Another part of me wanted nothing to do with her. I figured she'd grab her things and go. Then she reached the front door. And before leaving, she turned around. She looked directly at me. And she smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile someone gives when they know exactly where to stick the knife. Then she said it. "I hope you know you're the reason your father and I divorced." For a second everything went silent. All those years, all those memories. Every bruise. Every insult. Every sleepless night. Every moment I spent protecting my brothers. It all came rushing back at once. And something inside me finally broke. No. The word came out before I even realized I was speaking. She stopped walking. I took a step forward. "No. You and Dad split up because you were too busy drinking and sleeping around to notice your marriage falling apart." Her smile disappeared. I kept going. "You weren't just a terrible wife. You were a terrible mother." I could see the anger building in her face. Years of rage were finally pouring out of me. "And honestly, you're just a terrible person." The second those words left my mouth, I knew there was no going back. She exploded. I saw it happen instantly. Her face turned red. She stormed around the counter. And before I could react, she swung, her hand connected with my face. The impact wasn't what shocked me. The shocking part was what happened next. For years I had taken it. For years I had stayed quiet. For years I had been the scared kid. Not anymore. This time I hit back. Not out of revenge. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because I was done being afraid. The look on her face was unforgettable. It wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. For the first time in her life, she realized she couldn't control me. For the first time, she realized I wasn't a helpless child. And for the first time, she understood there would be consequences. I reached for the phone. She froze. I started dialing 911. And I looked directly at her. "You are so screwed." Suddenly all her confidence vanished. The woman who had spent years bullying children didn't seem nearly as tough when the police were involved. She started making excuses, started changing her story, started acting like the victim. Too late. The police arrived, and unlike every other time, someone was finally listening. They already knew who she was. The officers had heard stories, neighbors had talked. People in town knew her reputation when they heard what happened. Nobody seemed surprised. She was charged for entering the property without permission. She was charged for attempting to take things that didn't belong to her. And she was charged for hitting me. Watching her leave in the back of a police car felt surreal. That I wasn't celebrating, that I wasn't smiling. Mostly, I felt relief. A weight I had carried for years finally started lifting. When I later shared the story online, the response surprised me. One person simply wrote, "Dude, fist bump. Good for you." Honestly, that short comment meant a lot. Because after everything that happened, validation felt strange. Another person shared that their own mother was manipulative and convincing enough to fool everyone around her. They said they were living through my victory because nobody ever believed them. That comment stuck with me, because abusive parents often hide behind masks. Many victims spend years feeling isolated. Another user wrote, "Feels bro." A short comment. But anyone who has lived through something similar understands exactly what it means. Pain recognizes pain, survival recognizes survival. The most surprising thing was realizing how many people had stories just like mine. Different details, different families, same scars. And the more messages I read, the more I understood something important. Standing up for yourself doesn't erase the past. It doesn't magically heal every wound. But it does mark the moment when the abuse stops defining who you are. Years have passed since that day. I've moved forward with my life. The memories are still there. Some scars never completely disappear. But I no longer carry the guilt she tried to place on me. Because the truth is simple: children are not responsible for their parents' failures. Children are not responsible for broken marriages, and children are never responsible for being abused. The only person responsible for my mother's choices was my mother. It took me years to fully accept that. But once I did, everything changed. And sometimes I still think about the look on her face when I dialed those 3 numbers, not because I enjoyed it, but because that was the exact moment I stopped being her victim. What would you have done if someone who made your life miserable for years suddenly tried to blame you for their own mistakes? Let me know in the comments.